You have seen how to access from the parent to one transcluded element, I mean some content received through ngContent. But for tabs example, in fact, I want to access all of the tab components projected with ngContent. And that's why we have the decorator ContentChildren. ContentChildren is like ContentChild, but providing access to a whole array of children elements so you can manipulate them with methods like map and forEach. This array belongs to the QueryList class provided by Angular. I'm going to modify the previous example to gain access to all of my tabs. First of all, in tabs component TS, I replace ContentChild by ContentChildren here. And I also add the QueryList import, QueryList, that I said I will need. I can remove the old ContentChild I got here. I remove it, and what I can do is to refactor the array of tabs that I already have in order to decorate it with ContentChildren. So I write this add ContentChildren of type tab component, and this equals a public tabs of type QueryList, because I told you this will return a QueryList of type tab component. So tab component also here. I'm gonna comment first all of the code related with tab, because a tab does not exist anymore, otherwise the code will fail. So I comment this here and also here. And now I will console log my new tabs array to see how does a QueryList look like. So in after content init, I console log this.tabs. So I go to see the result, and if you look at the console, you can see there's a QueryList with an array of results. If you open the object and the results array inside, you can see that the elements inside are of type tab components, and that's what we expected, an array of tab components. However, the interesting part is inside the QueryList prototype, you have several filters, like filter, forEach, map, and so on. And that's because the QueryList class Angular gives you is fully prepared to perform the typical actions of the query, so you can filter, iterate through the loop, subscribe for changes. And also you can see that in the view I have now those 3 tabs, although the content is empty. Remember that in previous videos I had to add the tabs by hand with the addTab method, and now I don't need to do this, because I'm using ContentChildren decorator to search for all the tab children in order to put them here in the tabs array. Now it is Angular that directly put the tabs into the array, so now I can remove the addTab method. Okay, another interesting point is that in tabComponent.html I am looping over an array of tabs. This is a QueryList, and the loop works perfectly fine, and it's able to find the title property without problems. Okay, back now to the TypeScript side. I'm gonna update now the selectTab method, taking advantage of this QueryList class. I can remove all this, and instead I can do this.tabs, my tabs, for each, taking advantage of this QueryList method, and then for each item I receive, I will call this arrow function inside, where I receive a tab and set tab is active equals false. So first I set all tab is active property to false, and then finally I do tab.isActive equals true. So I only set isActive true of the tab I am receiving with select tab. I set anyone else to false. I update also after content init to subscribe also to any click received on my tabs. So here where I have my console log this.tabs, what I do is this.tabs.forEach again for every one of my tabs. I make an arrow function that receives the tab, and then for every tab I do tab.unclick.subscribe, and inside here I create a new arrow function, and inside I'm gonna console log the title. Here I'm gonna take advantage of the ECMAScript 6 template literal strings. Instead of double quote they use backticks, and this is a string but a special one that can use variables. So here write tab, and in order to use a variable I do so with $sign curly brackets, so I can use inside tab.title, and then I continue writing my string content clicked. Now every time I click a tab, it will be console log the text tab, the tab title, and then the text content clicked. Also, I want to make sure that at the beginning the first tab is selected. So here I do this.selectTab, and inside this.tabs.first. This is also one of the tools that the QueryList class provides you. You can access directly the first element on the list. Okay, I can remove all this stuff, and now what I need is to add all the references to the subscriptions so I can remove them later in the onDestroy method. To do so, I'm gonna update the tab click subscription, adding an S at the end. And this property will be now an array instead of a single object, and I init the value to an empty array. Inside after content init, what I will do is to get this reference to the subscribe here with let subscription equals to the subscription, and then this dot tab click subscriptions dot push because it is an array, and I add the reference I just get from the subscription. Okay, I add them in my after content init, and now in the onDestroy event I have to loop through this array to remove my subscriptions. As it's an array, I can do the same you've seen with the QueryList. So if this dot tab click subscriptions, then in this case I can do this dot tab click subscriptions dot for each, and then an arrow function that receives item, and then I do item dot unsubscribe. Okay, now if you go to the browser, you can see how tabs are working absolutely fine. When I click, I change my tab. See also that the first one was selected by default, and also if you click the content, the name of the tab is console log with tab timers content clicked. Changing to chrono, I can see this tab chrono content clicked, and with alarm, alarm chrono content clicked. Okay, let's do a quick recap of this video. In order to access from the parent to all its tab children received by transclassian, I mean using ng-content, I have used the ContentChildren decorator, this one from here. ContentChildren returns a query list of the components I have requested, this tab component. This query list have tools to simplify the items management like for each, filter, map first, and some more you will find in the Angular docs. In this case, I have used the for each method a couple times in order to loop through my tabs and subscribe to their outputs, as well as to update the isActive property.